I'm very excited today to introduce another fabulous, wonderful guest, Charlie Cina. Cina. He's a speaker, an author, a consultant, a revenue builder. We all love revenue builders on the Exit Rich, don't we? Customer acquisition specialist. He wrote the book Expose and Close. Expose and Close. He teaches his clients how to master the right mindset, missions, and move to really reach their potential, their personal potential to drive massive, huge results. Charlie believes that the ability to present and persuade are necessary, like skills that everyone needs to succeed. He will teach us all that businesses' primary responsibility is to expose your brand, your products, your service, and your solutions to build long revenue lasting relationships. And then Charlie's actually leveraged his expertise, his relationships in sales and marketing to work with and collaborate with billion-dollar brands. He has acquired clients that many of you have heard, have even participated in some of their masterminds and events, such as Tony Robbins, Les Brown. Les Brown was on our show not too long ago. And
Les.
and Eric Thomas. I love Les. And his 30 years of boots on the ground under fire sales experience has led him to create proven techniques and strategies to activate, acquire, and achieve massive success. So I hope y'all are all fired up today. If you're not fired up, your matches are all wet, like Zig Ziglar used to say. Let's get fired up. Let's have some fun. So, Charlie, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Michelle. How's things down there in NOLA?
It's actually not bad. It's a beautiful day today. You know, we're usually hot, like in the 70s to 80s degrees. And then the last week we were down in the 40s. And today we're back up in the 80s. So it's never boring here, that's for sure.
I'll be down there soon. We're coming down for a big restoration show. So
come see me.
Down there we'll have some New Orleans gumbo.
Come see me when you come.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's get started. Charlie, tell our listeners a little bit about your background. How did you get started in this? How did you become so successful? How did you get to meet, work with Tony Robbins, Les Brown?
Well, I mean, I started out as a youngster knocking doors, selling papers. So I guess you could say I've been a door knocker since I was young. I didn't realize it at the time, but knocking doors and selling newspapers taught me a lot. Taught me a lot about tenacity, persistence, how to handle rejection. And it taught me some very basic things that I didn't realize until later in life. One of which, quite simply, is the more you introduce, the more you produce. So as a paper boy, the more doors I knocked, the more people said, yes, I want the newspaper. And the more my distribution would increase, the more money I'd make.
Now, I love that. Let's just back up and say that again. The more you introduce, the more you produce.
Right.
And so many people are like, oh my God, how do I get more sales? How do I get more sales? Well, you just talk to more people. It's really not that complicated, right? The more you introduce,
it's not that complicated, but
there's techniques to it.
Selling newspapers. I'm talking going back to the late 1970s when that was an actual service, and there was paper boys that would knock doors. You'd have to deliver the paper, drop the paper off at somebody's door, or put it in between their screen door and their door, and you'd go back and collect the money.
Right.
Well, when I go and collect the money, the more distribution, the more money, but then I'd also make more tips. So simple concept, but I was a businessman, right? I was a business person learning the art of sales, learning the art of presenting. And then, somebody would tell me, I just want the Sunday paper. I learned how to say, well, Michelle, the Sunday paper is going to cost you whatever, 50 cents. For another 50 cents, I could bring it for the whole week. Why don't you just let me bring it for the whole week? If you don't like it, you can cancel it. Well, then they'd buy it for the whole week. My distribution would go up. I'd make more money. I'd get a bigger tip because now I was delivering there 7 days a week instead of once a week. So simple concepts, but that's where I think a lot of business people, sales professionals, and entrepreneurs or wannabe entrepreneurs miss it.
Right.
What's the it? You're in the distribution business. Doesn't matter whether you're selling water, Doesn't matter whether you're selling pens, coffee, phones, or whatever, right? You need to introduce your products and services, shout from the rooftops who you are, what you do, how you can help people. And then you need to understand that, a certain percentage of the world is looking for your product and service. So
Mhm.
even if you're the worst salesperson on the planet and you're selling pens, if you knock enough doors, 3% of the world is going to need a pen or need to buy pens. Then you're just in the right place and right time, and your tenacity and persistence for knocking those doors is going to result in a sale.
Right.
And as you're doing that through the repetition of knocking doors and mastering what I call the art of presentation,
Hmm.
because it's not about selling, it's about presenting.
Right.
Right? It's not about selling, it's about persuading someone to understand why your pen, for example, is the best pen on the planet and why it can help solve a problem. And when you can do that, you'll sell more pens and you'll close at a higher level. So now instead of knocking 100 doors to sell 3 people, maybe you knock 50 doors and sell the same 3 people. And then you knock 40 doors to sell the same 3 people, or your sales skills increase. You learn how to get referrals. You learn how to truly build a relationship and a network. And now those 50 people that you're talking to are not going to result in 3 sales, but could result in 30 sales. Now you're a sales professional. Now you have a real business. Now you're getting repeat referral business, and you have a foundation in the ground to stand on.
All right. So again, I always say it's not about who you know. It's not about what you know. It's about who you know, right? So you got to definitely knock on those doors and stay persistent. And so you leverage your relationships with some of these huge brands. I know earlier you told me that you worked with Pepsi. Obviously, you worked with Tony Robbins and Les Brown. How did you leverage those relationships? How were you able? Because a lot of people go to networking events like BNI and Chamber of Commerce and all these different networking events. How have you been able to leverage your relationships to really have profound, long-term, profitable relationships?
First of all, I think it's important to understand that a relationship starts with the word hello. And a lot of people don't know how to say hello. And it's easier to say goodbye to somebody than it is to say hello to somebody.
And why is that? That's so strange. It reminds me. It reminds me of the movie Jerry Maguire when you had me at hello, right? You had me at hello. Why is it so difficult to say hello? Because I
Well,
get in an elevator with people all the time. Everybody just looking at their phone, looking down, looking up. Nobody says hello. I do.
I love elevators. I get 30, 60, 90 seconds, depending on how tall that building is and what floor I'm on. I love elevators. I've done, more business in elevators than most people have done, normally in a normal business environment. But I always say that everything starts with hello, right? Hi, my name's Charlie. What's your name? Now, full transparency, Michelle, I don't know how I got on your show. I have no idea who connected us. All I know is your assistant reached out and said, hey, Michelle heard about you. Michelle knows you, or whatever. Would you like to be on the podcast? I obviously researched who you were. And I'm like, why wouldn't I? Right? Great exposure, great lady. You've had some big guests on your show. It's exposure. But somewhere I got on your show because I said hello to somebody and connected with them at a high level. I conveyed to them who I am, what I do, and how I can serve them. And we started a conversation that converted. So it all starts with hello. Hello, my name's Charlie. What's your name? Michelle. Michelle, nice to meet you. What do you do? And then when people tell you what they do, you need to be in a position as a business owner and sales professional to present in 10 seconds or less
The elevator pitch.
who you are, what you do.
Mhm.
Some call it an elevator pitch, right? I call it being able to present your micro presentation with clarity, because in today's day and age, everybody has attention deficit disorder, right? You watch a video on YouTube. I don't even know what the criteria is right now as far as how many seconds. First, I heard it was 10 seconds. Then I heard it was 8, and they said a goldfish has an 8-second attention span, and right now it might even be less. But point being, you have to get people at hello. Tell people your name. Your name is your brand. You are a brand called you. So that's where it starts. It starts at hello, the art of the introduction. And then from that, everyone really needs to learn how to immediately build rapport and gain credibility, because that's where friendships or business relationships are formed.
So I'm sure a lot of business people listening are saying, look, I've been in business a long time. I do networking. I go to different events. I do this, I do that. I know how to say hello. I have my elevator pitch. I have my micro pitch, whatever you call it. Why should I be tuning in right now?
Well, because I can tell you from experience, I just got done coming from a very large real estate show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm meeting all these high-level players. Now, understand something. I'm meeting some $1 million producers.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not suggesting that people don't know how to say hello, or how they have said hello has hindered them from not being successful. What I'm suggesting is that when you fine-tune your approach to properly present and position yourself with clarity,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to increase your closing ratio, or potentially get a higher level of client, a higher level of a prospect, because you came from a position of certainty, confidence, and clarity.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm at this high-end show for realtors. I don't want to mention
I think I know which one you're talking about.
the name of the conference, but the high-level players. And I stick out my hand and say, "Hi, my name's Charlie. What's your name? What do you do?" And they would say, "I'm a realtor." Now, again, we're at a real estate conference, but my point is I meet people in the coffee shop. I meet people on the escalator. I know why they're there, but they're outside of the conference, and they say, "I'm a realtor."
And
Well,
usually it's, I'm a realtor.
right. Well, no, you're not. Like, give me something. Give me something to get my attention, because I already have a realtor. I've got 6 friends that are realtors that are all jockeying for my business. I just came back from a roofing show. Storm chasers that go into Florida, New Orleans, right? And they get, they do the roofs when they're damaged.
Yeah.
What do you do? I'm a roofer. So what I would say is, I'm not a roofer. If I met you in New Orleans, what do? I empower people like you, Michelle, to get your lives back after you've been devastated by a storm disaster, guaranteed, through my 3-step process. Well, what do you mean? How you do that? Well, I own XYZ Roofing, and we go in and work with your insurance companies to make sure that we maximize your claim and we get your home in better condition than before it was damaged with the roof, and we make it seamless and stress-free. Make sure all the paperwork is done so you don't have to, Michelle. Now, if you need a roof and you're a prospect for a roof, are you going to want to do business with me or the guy that handed you a business card and said, "I'm a roofer"?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm a real estate agent. I do real estate. No, you don't. If I was a real estate agent and I met you, wherever, at Starbucks, what do? I empower people, Michelle, to buy the house of their dreams at a price that they didn't think they could afford. Guaranteed through my 3-step process. Well, what's your 3-step process? Well, Michelle, I help you do X, Y, and Z. Why don't we schedule a quick call? Are you looking to list your home? Are you looking to buy your home? By the way, if you list your home, Michelle, with me, I have a process where I can pretty much guarantee that I'll get you 10% over list price, or 10% over appraisal. Here's a home that there's no interaction. It's people just say, when they're asked, "What do you do?" They tell you the title that's on their business card.
Yeah, I agree with you 1,000%. And obviously, you and I have been through we go to the same conferences, speak on the same stages, I think. And I've been saying for years, why do owners do that? And even when they go and they get this knowledge and they go through your courses or someone else's, they still say, "I'm a real estate agent," or "I'm a business broker," or "I'm an M&A advisor." So I agree with you 1,000%. So why is that? Why is that though?
Well, I think, and I'm probably going to upset some of your listeners, but
That's okay. Go ahead. They can handle it. Can my listeners handle it? Yes or no? Chime in.
by nature, and again, I'm talking to to everybody, including myself, right? By nature, we're lazy, right? We as human beings get to decide what we want to do, right?
When we want to do it.
When we want to do it. Where if we're animals and we're out there, our brains are set a certain way, and they know how to survive, and they know what to do and when to do it, and right there's no choice. We have more choice as human beings than most things on the earth, or right, more than anything on the earth, right? We get to decide. We have free will. So by nature, we take the path of least resistance. We don't like discomfort. What will get us to the end game? So people mistake, here's my card, as making an impression. That's not an impression. You transferred information. That's all you did. And when you hand somebody a card, if you don't get to have a 60 or 90-second micro presentation on who you are, what you do, where you can pique that person's interest, they will never want what you have.
Yes, and they're not going to remember you.
Right. And you'll always be in the convincing business. Like when I'm out there prospecting people, I hit them with my micro presentation of who I am, what I do, and how I can serve them. And when I get done, my objective is, I was so clear on who I am and what I do. They've connected the dots. And if they're a prospect for my product or service, they will want what I have, and I won't have to convince them that I have what they need. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
Now, I just got back from a show in Fort Lauderdale, a roofing conference. We exhibited there. I have a product called One Tap Connect. That's a prospecting tool. And I was there exhibiting One Tap Connect. Now, most vendors will wait for people to come by the booth and introduce themselves to the vendor. Literally more than most. That's insane to me.
Yeah, see, not me. I used to work trade shows all the time. I never stayed in the booth.
Right. Well, at the end of the day, as soon as your heels hit the pavement, right, at 8, 9, or whenever you start your day, you're on the trade show floor, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So things got a little bit slow. I had a team of about 6 people, and I looked at my team and I said, I'm going for a walk. I'll be back. I'm walking through the trade show. Who am I looking for? I'm looking for roofing companies that are branded up. Mm-hmm. Hats, shirts with their brand name on it. Why? Because I know that those people are conscious of their brand, and they're my ideal client. Not rocket science, right?
Right.
If people are branded up, people are spending money on their brand, they would be an ideal client, an ideal prospect for me. I see 2 gentlemen and a woman with a shirt called Westoration, W-E-S-T, Westoration. They go in and they help with mold removal, flood, fire. People have been devastated by a hurricane. They go in and dry the houses out and remove the water, etc. I went up to them. I said, hey, how you doing? My name's Charlie. What's your name? Introduced themselves. I immediately told them who I am, what I do. They go, wow, this looks interesting. I said, follow me. They came to my booth. I demoed my product. The gentleman bought. As we're talking, this gentleman says, I used to be in the limo business in Southern California. I said, one of my best friends who passed away was also in that business. In fact, he started the whole stretch limousine business. His name was Big Vinny. Mm-hmm. Big Vinny is in the introduction of my book. I take out my book, I show the guy. I tear up, he tears up. Oh my God. Now he already bought my product. He calls his partner over. His partner also buys a package of One Tap Connect sites from me. We start talking. He's from New Orleans. I said, I have a cousin in New Orleans that's in the real estate business. What's his name? I said, Edgar Faber. He goes, I don't know him. He goes, but I'm looking at the spelling of your last name. Is that pronounced Cina? I said, yeah. He said, do you know Nick Cina in New Orleans? I said, no, but there's not many Chinas. He could be a distant cousin. He gets the guy on the phone. The guy's my cousin. I connected with a cousin in New Orleans that I'm going to come and see in June because we're coming down there, as I said, for a show.
From a guy that you met at the conference.
Why am I telling your audience that? Because I GOYA'd. I got off my
You can say it.
ass. I walked away from my booth. What? There was no traffic at my booth. It's not difficult. I went out. I shook a hand. I said hello. I looked decent. I had my micro presentation down with clarity. Who I am, what I do. What do you do? I empower roofing companies and restoration contractors like you shorten your sales cycle by utilizing a prospecting tool that will help you brand position and differentiate yourself at the first point of contact. He said, how do you do that? I said, can I show you? I took out my One Tap Connect card. I tapped his phone. It popped up on his screen. It allowed me to make my micro presentation. He looked at his other partner and said, could you imagine when we go knock doors and we go into a storm? These people are devastated. They can't concentrate. All we do is hand them a paper card and they throw it away or they leave it on their counter and they forget about us. He goes, now we can actually put training videos on this One Tap Connect microsite where we can teach our people when they've been devastated by a storm disaster how to do X, Y, and Z, and we could be the company that helps them. So who would they give the job? They were selling themselves. Do you understand?
That's what you want them to do.
And that's what you want them to do. And that's what I get so passionate about. I mean, Michelle, I can tell you stories, whether it's on elevators, planes, trains. People don't understand your prospects, your organic opportunities, as I like to call them, are right in front of you. All you have to do is stick out a hand, say hello, get your micro presentation down, and learn how to connect it at a high level. Again, convey your marketing message, and then you're just going to start those conversations that convert.
And follow up is key.
Fortune's absolutely positively in the follow-up. Today, for example, the show's closed. The show that I just left. Everybody's closing their booth. It ends at 3:00. I don't close my booth at 3:00. My people know we are the first ones there if possible, and we are the last ones to leave. Why? Because anybody walking around that show at the end is really still there looking to do what?
Business.
They're looking to do business. We don't shut down. A guy's leaving, right, who was an exhibitor, sharp guy, his name was Edgar, custom suit, he walks by, he goes, man, I've been hearing all about you. He goes, I don't have time. Can we just exchange information? I tapped his phone. My microsite popped up. He hit the book me button, booked an appointment with me. I came into the office this morning at 7:30, got on a Zoom with him, bought my product. Why am I telling you this? Because I just practice what I preach, and it's not rocket science, right? The guy was getting ready to leave. He was catching a plane. He was in a rush. We didn't shut down our booth. He could see my message on my backdrop. He got clarity on who we are, what we do. He booked an appointment with me. We did a Zoom meeting. I got a new client. So I don't care what business you're in. I don't care if it's roofing, you're a doctor, dentist, lawyer, chiropractor, mortgage broker, baker, candlestick maker. You're in the distribution business. You're in the client acquisition business. And if you just learn how to do very simple things seamlessly and effortlessly, you will convert at a higher level.
1,000%.
Right?
There are
'Cause
opportunities in front of our face every day that we don't act upon and we don't connect with.
Right. And everyone wants to learn how to close. If you know how to open, you don't have to learn how to close, or at least not learn how to close at that level. Everyone says, "Oh, do you know how to hard close? Do you like to be hard closed?"
No, I don't think anybody likes to be hard
No,
closed.
nobody. No,
No,
no, no.
I specialize in selling companies, so it's an educational sell. When you're buying a business or selling a company, it's an educational sell. I don't think anyone wants to be hard closed.
Exactly. And when you know how to present and you know how to help people connect the dots, and to your point, educate them and elevate them so they have clarity and understanding on how your tool or service or product will make a difference. Again, they'll want what you have. And then when they say goodbye to you, they'll shake your hand and thank you for allowing them to purchase your product.
So the first is the more you introduce, the more you produce. What's second?
Second is, and we've covered it a little bit. It's building rapport and gaining credibility.
And following up.
Right, and following up. So you have to build rapport and gain credibility, because talk is what?
Cheap.
Talk is cheap. So there's only one reason why you put me on your podcast, is because when your team did the diligence on me, you know what I said was true, right? I had the truth, authenticity, and proof, right, that I have done business with Les Brenner. I have acquired.
I think Les Brown said we should have you on our show. I think
It could have been Les, yeah.
we should have you on your show. Yeah, I think it was Les Brown.
And when I met Les, Les was speaking at a trade show. I think it was in 2017. And this lady said, "Oh, can you help Mr. Brown?" And I didn't know he was speaking, so I didn't know it was Les. So I opened the back door to let him in, and he goes, "Hey man, how you doing? What's going on?" And I said, "Hey Les," he goes, "How's the bulldog doing?" And I said, "The bulldog?" He goes, "Yeah, man." He goes, "Your tenacity," he goes, "your persistence and your follow-up," he goes, "I call you the bulldog." And he goes, "I mean that with the utmost respect." He said, "If everyone followed up like you," he goes, "they'd have a much better business and have more sales." And then, long story short, why he was referring to that is because I was trying to acquire him as my client to get him to do his online training platform with my company. And ultimately, we did just that. I got him on the Lightspeed platform, and we launched his Les Brown University, and we built a much closer relationship since then. But I love Les. He's a great guy. Great mentor. And he's helped, millions of people at this point around the world.
He's very down to earth, isn't he?
Very much so.
Yeah, very down to earth.
Yeah, so I've got to know his whole family, and he's a solid gentleman.
Well, it's truly interesting to hear about his background, how he was labeled.
No question.
Yeah, he was labeled retarded, basically, right?
Yep.
So let's talk about power. I think that's a good transition into powerful words and mindsets, because, Les Brown was a twin, right?
Yes.
And so his brother was extremely intelligent, and Les, struggled, right? And it was for one teacher that came up and said, "Hey, you got this. You can do this. Take your time. You're smart." I think that's a good way to transition into powerful words, self-talk, how we really are, it's our choice if we want to be successful or not, right?
Absolutely.
Regardless of our background, regardless of anything that's ever happened to us.
And I think negative self-talk, without question, I mean, that's something I still to this day work on every day. I just happen to be better at it today than I was 5 years ago, than I was 10 years ago, than I was 20 years ago. But it definitely hinders people. And I don't really think as individuals we can even measure how much it actually hinders us. It's something literally now, and I forgot what it was this morning. I came back from the gym, and I'm thinking about my entire day, and I'm thinking about all the pros and cons and what I have to do in building my business. And it started to creep in, and I had some really nasty words for it. And I immediately, gave it a right hook, got in the shower, came to the office, and you're moving forward. So it happens to everybody. And anyone that says it doesn't happen to them, I would venture to say they're probably not telling the truth. I think we just get better, right, at pushing it out, not allowing it in at all. But the real key to overcoming that, above and beyond your education level or what you've been up against, is implementation. Nike slogan, just do it. The older I get, the more I understand the slogan. I'm sitting in a brand new office right now that I never anticipated. I don't even know how I got here, quite frankly. You just keep moving. I've got new employees that I've just onboarded for this new venture. How did I get here? Again, how did I get on this podcast? I really don't know if it was Les or not. If it was Les, thank you so much for the introduction. But that's my point, right? When you just keep moving in a positive direction, and I want to let everyone know this word, which everyone does know. I'm just emphasizing it. Intention. When you come from a place of good intention, good things happen to you, and the obstacles that come in front of you become easier for you to overcome. So that's my motto. The older I get, and I try to impress upon my kids the same thing. You have a bad day, great, just keep moving. I had an argument with that person, great, just keep moving.
Yeah.
Right? Are you a good person? Are you trying to do not the best you can, but all you can? Because there's a big difference in that too. I love when people say I did the best I could. Okay, but did you do all you could?
Right.
So again, sometimes I don't do all I could, and I have to be honest with myself. But that's really, I think, the key. And in being around a lot of high level people and knowing their stories, we're all just people.
Well, I always say your net worth equals your network, right? Your network equals your net worth. No?
No question about it. But at the end of the day, we're all just people. The difference is some of the people made a decision. Some of the people made a commitment to themselves first and foremost. And then some of the people, again, as Les says, if you land on your back, you're looking up, get up, and then sky becomes the limit once again.
Yeah. You just got to keep moving, like you said, right? Keep going.
Absolutely.
Always show up. So what other words of wisdom do you have for our listeners?
Well, you just hit something, the nail on the head. The power's definitely in the show up.
Yeah, you got to show up.
Yeah, so there's a lot of instances where, I'll say to myself, should I go to that show? Should I go to another speaking event? Should I go to that dinner? And again, the self-talk saying, oh no, I don't want to go to that dinner. I don't want to have more conversations. But there's two things in life that we need. There's money and there's contacts. Well, the contacts are either going to have your money or put you into a position or a relationship, if they believe in you, to introduce you to somebody that you can do business with that will result in money. Now, I'm not suggesting that it's all about money. But my point is, if you're in business, that's the end game, right? You're getting into business to generate revenue, right, and make a profit. And to your point, exit rich, and that's what's necessary. So, the powers in the show up, the powers in really doing the things that you don't want to do.
Yeah, and people get so comfortable. If people get so comfortable with their day to day, and I always tell my clients, you really have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You know this, Charlie. And you really got to step up, take action, and have a really much higher level of standard. It shocks me how many business owners, how many employees have such a low quality standard, such a low standard that they set for themselves.
Yeah, and that's the key, right? You could have goals, but if your standards are low, you're never going to hit the goal.
Right.
I didn't, full transparency. I didn't want to open up another office. I didn't want to hire more people. But once you start doing it, you're like, oh my God, this is so cool. You see the progression, and then when your clients are coming back to you and they're buying your product and they're thanking you and they're sending you testimonials, that's more value than the actual money. And I don't say that, condescendingly or to be corny or melancholy, but it's true. Like when you know that your product or service is making a difference in someone's life or in the marketplace, or you're getting, and this just happens to be on my desk, you're getting thank you notes. People are sending me cakes. People, they come to town, can I take you to dinner? Like that's when you know that you're doing something that's right. No different, I have 2 kids. It's no different than when somebody compliments me on how my children conduct themselves.
Mm-hmm.
There's no bigger compliment in the world. Money can't give you that same sense of satisfaction. That is a different kind of satisfaction. And again, where does it all stem from? You coming from a place of good intention, you reaching out your hand and saying hello and starting and building that relationship and knowing what next steps to take. So again, I was, a lot of my mentors have always taught me, you got to have the mindset, you got to have the mission. What's your goal? Why are you waking up in the morning? And then you need to learn the moves that will help you get from point A to point Z more efficiently, more effectively, and faster. And every day, Michelle, I got a lot of, I call them youngsters. They're in their 20s.
I got youngsters.
And as
I
far
got
as
my babies.
yeah, as far as technology, man, I go to these young people that work with me in my business, and they teach me stuff every single day. So, if you're going to get on the court, if you're going to get on the game, I like to say you need to use every road, every tool, every relationship, every piece of technology, to educate yourself, to leverage yourself, to ultimately get to the bank, and in your case, exit rich.
1,000%. So what other golden nuggets do you have for our listeners? What else? I know there's lots of jewels in that brain of yours.
Well, the
You've
real
helped Tony Robbins with and Les Brown and
the real key is words, right? Words trigger pictures, which trigger emotions, which lead to action steps.
it all starts with the words.
It all starts with the
Tell
words.
ourselves and the words we tell others, right?
Right. So you say hello, you have your micro pitch down, you engage people in a conversation, and now you've got them engaged either in your sales process for your product or service, or it might just be a true friendship, or it might be a collaboration, right? I mean, we're not exchanging dollars here, but we're collaborating right now on a podcast. You're exposing me to your audience. People are listening, and who knows where this relationship is going to go or what it's going to lead to. But when you can find the effective words that you're using on a daily basis, right? Because words are things.
Mm-hmm. Lots of things.
Words have meaning. And then I would encourage people, especially if you're in sales or marketing, script out what you want to present to your audience. Who's your audience? Whether it's one-on-one, you're knocking a door to sell somebody a solar system for their home or a pool. That's your audience. And when you can script out your presentation and have it done with meaning, and you're coming again from a place of confidence and certainty, not only are you doing yourself a huge service and you'll convert a client at a higher level, but you're doing your client a big service because they're giving you their time.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of salespeople really don't respect that. They're like, oh, I need an appointment. Okay, great. You got the appointment. What did you do? You have that person's time. Now, who is that person? It doesn't matter if that person's a school teacher, a multi-billionaire, a janitor, or a race car driver. You get 30 to 60 minutes to go into their home, go into their office, or whatever the case is, and present who you are, what you do, and how you can help them. And if you have that scripted out where you're going to help them connect the dots, that will help you convert at a higher level. Why do I know that works? Well, Nicole Kidman, Tom Cruise, Robert De Niro, Al Pacino have one thing in common, right? They've all won Golden Globes or Academy Awards or whatever they've done and got to the top of their game in acting careers. How did they do that? What do they read, Michelle?
What do they read?
What do they read? Scripts.
They read their scripts.
They read their scripts, right? But then they add.
They're not reading extra rich, unfortunately. They're reading their scripts.
Right, but they have the ability to take those words that are on that script, put emotion into it, put timing and flow into it, put maybe some assets or stick mechanisms, right, into the script to help people connect the dots. So when you get done, they're like, yep, I want to work with that person. They're definitely my choice, and I don't even need to talk to anybody else. And
it's shocking to me that Tom Cruise never got an Oscar, did he?
I don't know if he got an Oscar or not, but I know he's making millions of dollars and is at the top of his craft for sure.
Top Gun, absolutely.
Just what he did with the last movie, Top Gun. I mean, just ridiculous. Yeah. But that's my point. It's all done through scripts, and then you need to know how to put emotion in it, right? Again, words trigger pictures, which trigger emotions. And when you know how to present those words and you get your timing and flow down, it's a game changer. And I think that overall it's a lost art, especially, for the younger generation, because everything's done on a keyboard, right?
Yes.
Well, it's one thing to be a keyboard warrior. I call them keyboard warriors, where they can, just
I call them junkies.
sit there and text out, all types of different messaging and statements. But it's a different component when you're in person and you have to go one-on-one. And when you can be high tech and high touch, that I think is when you are now in a position where you're really differentiated and you're dotting the I's, crossing the T's, for lack of a term, with that individual. And again, you're coming from a place of right intention and you're converting at a higher level.
And it's very important to know what the customer needs, right? Because I think a lot of times salespeople, business owners try to shove products down our throat, and they don't really go through the needs assessment, the needs analysis of what we need, what we want. And look, I've been talking about this for years and years and years because I've been in sales my entire life. Do people buy what they need, or do people buy what they want, Charlie?
Well, usually they buy what they want.
They buy what they want. So when you're selling, you really got to get down to the emotions of that person to see how your products, your services will solve their pain problem, which will help them get what they're really wanting in their life, right, Charlie?
No question. And then the other caveat to that is people buy when they're ready. People buy when they're ready, or when they want it, right? Or when they need it. And then when do they want it? Right now. Mm-hmm. Right? We're in the Amazon era. So they want it right now. They want to click, they want to buy. So why am I sharing that with you? Because to your point, people buy what they want, not necessarily what they need. But if you're in the sales game, if you're a business owner and you're looking for client acquisition, not only do you need to sell them what they want, you also need to sell them what they need. Because if you're going to come from a consultant approach, you need to make sure you're educating them. So when they buy your product, all bases are covered. They're truly going to use it, get a return on investment, and that's where the referrals come from, and that's where the second and third money comes from. And then most importantly, do you as a sales professional or business owner want that customer to buy today, next week, next month, or next year? What would be your choice?
Everybody says today.
Right. That's everybody.
Why wouldn't you? I don't think anybody goes into it and say, "Oh, buy from me next year. Next year is going to be great."
Right. But the sales professional or business owner, in a lot or even in most cases, isn't really prepared or hasn't prepared their presentation to overcome all that person's objections within the presentation. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's just cause and effect. I want a blue one. Here's a blue one. I want a red one. Here's a red one. Well, you have to present it in a way where it's unforgettable. And go, wow, this is really cool. How do I get that? Well, let me sign you up right now, Michelle, or let's come to my office and all you need to do is pick out the color of the vehicle that you want, and we'll make sure all the options are there, and we'll get you off and running or whatever. So whether I'm talking to a person that's building custom pools, doing additions, mortgages, it doesn't really matter. The formula is really the same. And when you can master the art of the introduction and create a micro presentation to get people engaged in the sales process, now you've shortened your sales cycle. Now you need to make your sales process, the presentation that you're going to have in presenting your product and your price and the process that you're going to take the client through. When you master that, you'll convert at a high level and you'll have customers for life.
Yep. And people buy people, right?
No question.
People buy product, but they buy people.
No question.
All right. Well, any other words of wisdom? You've left us with so many golden nuggets. And to our listeners, if you have any questions, please put them up there.
Yeah.
Any other
my only words of wisdom is no one's going to sell your product or service better than you. 1 ounce of doubt, get out. You have to be 100% fully committed to you first and foremost, and then the products and services that you represent. You need to believe in them wholeheartedly. You need to use them if at all possible, right? I mean, certain people sell products that they can't use.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you need to believe in those products, and then you need to show your clients and educate them how to best use them, how they're going to get a return on investment. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're all buying, and that's what we're all selling, right? ROI, return on investment. If we buy a car, we want to get in the car, we want it to be good on gas, or we want it to ride smooth or have all the amenities, we want it to be comfortable. We want a return on investment, no matter what we spend for it, 50, 100, 150,000. We get in it, we want to feel good, right? We want to feel significant that particular product made us feel we got a return on investment. So,
we want to feel like we made a good decision.
Right. But that's what I want to leave your audience with. We all buy return on investment, and we all sell return on investment. So whatever product or service that you're selling, again, how do you present it in a way that's unforgettable at the first point of contact? How do you position yourself to be the only logical choice in your space? And when you can do that, you will profit and all of a sudden start to get repeat and referral business, and people will want what you have. And again, you won't have to convince them that you have what they need.
And to really build a business so you can exit rich, you need to teach this to your team.
That is correct.
You need to teach this to the person who answers the phone. You need to teach this to your salespeople, to your customer service team, to your quality control team. Everybody in the company should always be selling.
That is correct. Everyone is an ambassador for your products, your service, and your brand.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Charlie. It's been a delight to have you on the show. I really appreciate all your golden nuggets, your words of wisdom. I always say knowledge is power, but implementation is key. We say that at the end of every chapter on Exit Rich. A big thank you to all of my Exit Rich listeners. I know you love this content, so please share it with your network, share it with your peers, your coworkers, share it with your fellow entrepreneurs. Please get the message out there, and we'll see you next week on another episode of Exit Rich. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, Michelle.